What is going on, Governor? It's Chisgule here, and today we are going to talk about shockingly good epics. Shockingly good epics in the Sunset Canyon. If you like Rise of Kingdoms videos, where we talk about which commanders you should be using to win in different game modes, you should like and subscribe, because gosh darn it, we are passionate about that, and we are a sponsor creator with Rise of Kingdoms. My friends, epics are deceptively good in the Sunset Canyon, and that is because most epics have not put any of their stat itemization into movement speed. Now, stat itemization is a concept that a commander can only be so good, and to make all commanders equal, they have some equivalent amount of itemization of stats and bonuses and benefits. And some of the allocation, in fact, for a lot of the legendaries, allocation is going toward movement speed, but movement speed is not relevant. It's not relevant in this game mode. And you can abuse movement speed a little bit to create a situation where the armies don't line up perfectly in the middle. I've done that. It doesn't matter. It doesn't really help all that much. So using epics is actually a lot more viable than I would have expected and is quite strong in this game mode. You can see here a CPO hanging out at number 3. We can see in 5th place they've got 4 epics that they're using, and Ethelfled, free-to-play commander, right? The next rank, 6th place, is rocking 2 epics. We're ourselves rocking 2 epics. And, there are some really quite strong combinations you can use with epic commanders. So, and I think, let's see here. This player who's in 14th, they're only using 3 legendaries. So, performing well in Sunset Canyon is an attainable thing, even with a lot of epics. Let's talk about which epics are, in my opinion, shockingly good for this game mode, and why they are so strong. To do that, we're going to zip over to the character screen, and the first commander we're going to talk about that is shockingly good, and I've talked about this commander a little bit recently, is CPO, and that is in part because you can bring more troops than the enemy, which is even more powerful in this game mode. In addition, they get very, very tanky in this army when they start to get low. And if you put CPO in a lane against multiple armies, you take really strong advantage of Patient Warrior and Military Life, and the additional troops makes that less of a burden to be battling against so many armies. Pair CPO with a commander like Caesar, and you are really cooking with gas with regard to creating an army that is very, very tanky. CPO is one of the expected super powerful commanders in Sunset Canyon, and I would recommend using him. The next truly unexpected powerhouse, and I mean powerhouse, in Sunset Canyon is Belisarius. Now, I did not see this coming, but let's just review what makes Belisarius so good in this game mode. First and foremost, he reduces the attack of the enemy and the defense of the enemy, and that defense reduction is very, very powerful, by the way. Very, very powerful. When you think about having multiple armies hitting that army that Belisarius is hitting, you put Belisarius in a lane with more than one army of yours, and you're going to get really big benefits from that defense reduction. He increases damage to neutral units, which doesn't matter, but he also increases the defensive cavalry by 30%. Now, this is very, very powerful. This is the thing that cavalry is really lacking, is that solid defense increase. And, gosh, if we compare to a legendary commander, Minamoto is given 20% attack and 10% march speed. Well, geez, 30% defense is looking pretty good on a skill. Cao Cao gives 30% attack and 10% march speed. Well, geez, 30% defense is looking really, really good on a skill, right? On an epic, right? So we cruise back over here, and this is where the magic happens. When Belisarius has been reduced to below 50% strength, increase the damage of his army by 25%. Now that is super, super strong. Super, super strong, because you're battling to the death in this game mode. Unlike in the open field, where you're going to retreat your army when you get that low, especially because Belisarius is so mobile. Here, you're going to battle to death. Well, 25% damage increase is a big deal. It is a really big deal. So I would recommend this commander very, very highly in Sunset Canyon. Now, of course, there's one more commander that needs no introduction. You know that Sun Tzu is just a total beast in this game mode. Sun Tzu is awesome. Sun Tzu is doing huge amounts of damage. He is increasing the damage of the other commander that he's with. He can be a little bit tanky by increasing the health of infantry and reducing the damage taken. I might put the experience into Sun Tzu to bring him to level 60 so that I can have another full infantry army on the field. Who would I pair with Sun Tzu if I was going to go this route? Um, I probably would be pairing with Alexander the Great if I was bringing a second infantry army. That way, the rage generation is going to make it so I'm machine gunning shields. Alternatively, no, actually, I kind of like that. I kind of like that. I need to get a few more points into Alexander the Great. I'm waiting for another wheel to come around before I go that route. But if I were picking an epic, or a couple epics, I would probably rock Ulji Mundok. Ulji Mundok. Now, if I was making a 100% all epic lineup, not a single legendary, here is the route I would go. Here's the route I would go. I would use Sun Tzu with Boudica as the secondary. We're doing big damage, big damage. In fact, now let me change this up. I'm changing it up. We're improving, but I think we can do better. I would make a tanky army with Sun Tzu and Scipio. That'd be the play. That army, I know I've said like not to do that before. But the thing that Scipio really needs is to be firing off skills really frequently to get that counterattack damage up and to get the damage taken reduction up. And the reason that I really like Sun Tzu is he's going to generate enough rage for that to be a combo that really works nicely. So I would put Sun Tzu with Scipio, bring all infantry. Next combo I would do is Ulji Mundok with probably Boudica, and again, bring all infantry. You see where that's going. On the cavalry front, I would use Baibar's primary with Belisarius secondary. I think that's a pretty strong pairing. I also would make a cavalry army with Pelagius primary and Osman secondary. The last epic army I would bring, if I was doing an all epic lineup, would be your good friend of mine, Kusunoki, and I would pair most likely with Joan of Arc or a Herman, but probably Joan of Arc to give your whole party some buffs. You got to make sure that this army is centrally located so that her buffs can reach everybody, but I think that'd be a pretty strong set of pairings. The only commander that I didn't include is our friend Lohar and Herman. Those are the two commanders I did not include that are epic. All right, let's actually make the lineup I was just talking about. Let's go in and combine some of these commanders, show you what we were cooking up. I mentioned Sun Tzu with Scipio, hugely tanky army. I don't have him level 60, so it's not going to be exactly the right number of troops. We talked about bringing Kusunoki with Joan of Arc, all archers, centrally located so that everybody gets the buffs. Down below, we mentioned using Pelagius, most likely with Osman. The intention here is to generate a lot of rage so that Osman's skills fire off more frequently. And I would make sure that we've got Baibars with your good friend and mine, Belisarius, on the front line. Probably in this position, but we might swap it around a little bit. And up at the top, we're going to have an extra tanky army in the form of Ulji Mundok with Boudica. Bada boom. I think this is the way I would set it up. I'd have to actually test around with this a little bit to see. Maybe in the next Sunset Canyon, I'll play around with like all epics and see how high I can get. That'd be kind of fun, right? That'd be kind of fun. 100% epics. I think I'm going to do it. I may have to level up my epics a little bit before I go on this endeavor, but I think that could actually be a lot of fun. I think it'd be actually tremendously fun. This is probably how I would set the lineup. It's conceivable that these cavalry could move around a bit. It's conceivable that we could use some slightly different pairings with the cavalry. For instance, Pelagius has some amount of healing, so you could put Pelagius with uh, Belisarius, and that's going to make a more tanky army. The problem is that then Osman doesn't have a great home, and you really want to have like a high rage generation situation for Osman, and like, gosh, Pelagius really offers that in the form of his first skill. So I think this is what my lineup might look like. The reason I've got the Ulji Mundok army up at the top is that they will do extra damage when they're being attacked. And so if they stack a lot of armies against him, then you're going to get some benefits there. I would not strand cavalry out on their own because they're so easily countered by infantry. And infantry is just really powerful in this game mode right now. Anyways, I think I feel pretty good about this setup. It's conceivable that there could be some swapping, but I just wouldn't leave the cavalry out on their own with a single cavalry army. Too easy to line up some infantry to go beat that down. So my friends, if you are playing Sunset Canyon, you probably should use an epic or two. You can do really, really well with expertise epics. And we're going to be playing around more and more in Sunset Canyon, trying out different combos, trying out different commanders to see which ones we like. So far, my epic #1 MVP pick is probably going to be Sun Tzu, but really close in second is going to be Belisarius. It's actually quite good. My friends, I hope you have learned a thing or two in this video. I enjoyed preparing it for you. If you liked it, leave a like down below. And until next time, you have fun smashing the kingdom.